All right, let's talk about the heart. And no, this isn't just going to be some dry medical lecture. Think of this as the story of the most important muscle you will ever own, that tireless, powerful engine that runs your entire life. So, let's get into it. Okay, so we have to start here with a pretty sobering fact. To really understand the heart, you first have to understand what we're up against. Cardiovascular disease is, flat out, the number one killer in the United States. In fact, it takes more lives every single year than all forms of cancer combined. We're talking about something that affects 1 in every 4 people. That's why getting a handle on this is so important. And the impact isn't just personal. It's huge for society as a whole. Heart disease costs the US an estimated $363 billion every single year. That's a staggering amount of money spent on healthcare and lost productivity. It's a massive economic issue. So, to figure out how things can go so wrong, we really need to appreciate how this incredible engine is supposed to work when everything is running perfectly. You can think of the heart as having two main jobs. One is mechanical, the other is electrical. So let's start with the mechanical part you see on the left. It's basically a super smart four-chambered pump. Blood without much oxygen comes into the right side, gets pumped to the lungs to gas up, then it comes back to the left side where it gets pumped out with some serious force to the rest of your body. But what tells it when to pump? Well, that's the electrical system on the right. There's a natural pacemaker called the SA node that sends out a little electrical zap. That signal travels through the muscle and causes that perfectly timed squeeze we all know as a heartbeat. And the amount of work it does, it's just mind-blowing. Your heart beats about 100,000 times a day. It pumps 2,000 gallons of blood. That is an insane workload, and it's happening inside your chest right now without you ever having to think about it. It's incredible. Now, all of that pumping creates pressure, right? And the source material gives us a fantastic way to think about this. Picture your heart as a water pump and your arteries as a garden hose. The pressure inside that hose depends on two things: how much water you're pumping through it and how wide or narrow the hose is. A nice, wide, flexible hose, that's low pressure. But a narrow, stiff, kinked one, that's high pressure. Definitely remember that analogy. Because that whole idea of the hose and the pressure, it's absolutely key. Because now we get to meet the villain of our story. This is the disease that's behind most of the problems we see with the heart. Its official name is atherosclerosis. You've probably heard it called hardening of the arteries. And here's the deal. It's a disease where fatty stuff, called plaque, builds up inside your arteries. This buildup causes three big problems. The arteries get hard, they lose their stretchiness, and, this is the most important part, they get narrower. And this quote just perfectly illustrates what we're losing. A healthy artery on the inside is like a brand new nonstick pan. It's slick, it's smooth, and blood just flows right through. Atherosclerosis is what happens when that nonstick surface gets all scratched up and damaged, and gunk starts to stick to it. Okay, let's actually watch this happen. Here's our starting point. This is a healthy artery that supplies the heart. See that smooth inner lining and that big, wide-open lane for blood to flow? That is our nonstick pan in perfect shape. But now, look what happens over the years. That fatty plaque starts building up inside the artery wall. It actually pushes into the artery, damaging that smooth lining, and as you can clearly see, making that path for the blood a whole lot smaller. Our garden hose is starting to get seriously clogged. And this is the crisis point. The blockage, what doctors call an occlusion, is now severe. The artery is hard, it's brittle, and it's almost completely blocked off. And that means the heart muscle that depends on this artery for blood is being starved of the oxygen it needs to survive. Now, that oxygen starvation, it doesn't always happen in silence. A lot of the time, our body is actually trying to send us warning signals that the whole system is under a lot of strain. The most common warning sign is called angina. Now, this isn't just any old chest pain. People describe it as a really specific feeling, like a suffocating tightness or pressure. And what causes it? It's the heart muscle itself literally crying out for the oxygen it's not getting because of those blockages we just saw. It's a direct symptom that the heart is in distress. And that pain isn't always just stuck in the chest. That feeling of discomfort can actually travel or radiate. Very often it follows this classic pattern, moving down the left arm or even up into the neck and jaw. If you feel something like this, it is a massive red flag that should never, ever be ignored. So, what happens when those warnings are missed? Or when a blockage just becomes critical all of a sudden? Well, that's when the whole system can fail. This is really the question we need to answer. What is a heart attack, really? What is physically going on inside that vital engine when it all goes wrong?
Okay, the medical term for a heart attack is myocardial infarction. It sounds really complicated, right? But it's actually pretty simple if you break it down. Myocardium just means heart muscle, and infarction means the death of tissue because it didn't get enough oxygen. So, a heart attack is literally the death of heart muscle tissue.
And this diagram just shows it perfectly. You can see the blockage, the occlusion in that artery on the heart. That blockage creates this sort of bullseye of damage on the heart wall itself. At the very center, that dark area labeled necrosis, that's tissue that has already died. Around it, you have zones of injury and ischemia. That's tissue that's hurt, but it might just be saved if doctors can restore blood flow fast enough. Okay, everybody, listen up, because this is absolutely crucial to know. Women often experience heart attacks very differently. Now, chest pain is still the most common symptom for everyone, but many women experience symptoms that are less severe, sometimes even described as flu-like. Things like pain in the arms, back, or even the stomach. Shortness of breath, a cold sweat, nausea. Recognizing these different signs is just as critical. I know this all sounds incredibly scary, but the story does not end there. Not at all. We have incredibly powerful ways to fight back, both with amazing medical technology and, just as important, with the choices we make every single day. I mean, just look at the medical tech we have today. On the left, that's an angioplasty. They thread a tiny balloon into the artery, inflate it to squash the plaque flat, and often leave behind a little metal scaffold called a stent to prop the artery open. On the right, that's a bypass graft. It is literally what it sounds like. Surgeons create a new route, a detour for blood to flow around the blockage. It's amazing stuff. But as incredible as those surgeries are, what you're looking at right here, this is even more powerful. This is prevention. Every single one of these 6 steps is a tool you can use to keep that non-stick lining of your arteries healthy. A good diet and a healthy weight fight that plaque buildup we saw. Being active keeps the whole system strong. And not smoking? That's maybe the biggest one, because smoking directly damages those artery walls. These aren't just nice suggestions. They are the most effective weapons we have to stop this disease before it even starts.
So we end right where we started, thinking about that incredible engine you have. It gives you 100,000 heartbeats every single day, no questions asked. The only question left is, what are you going to do for it in return?